Oh, hello everyone. I am here with a very exciting video, and that is my favorite books of 2023. Now, this video is not organized in any specific way, except that I literally just pulled piles of books that were my favorite reads of last year now because I'm filming this, oh my god, in 2024. I read a little over 200 books, and honestly, it was such a good reading year. I love these books so much, and that's why it was so hard for me to narrow down like a top 10, a top 15. I definitely have like my top favorite books of the year, which I will point out to you guys, but a lot of this is just random order, favorite books of the year. These are books that I cannot stop thinking about. That was the criteria basically to make this video. If it was a book that crosses my mind a lot and I really love, then it's here. I think that is all that I need for this intro, so let's just wrap this up and get right on into my absolute favorite reads of 2023. And yes, I cut my hair again, I got some bangs, and I'm wearing a Britney Spears shirt that I got from Target. And you know, maybe hint on one of my favorite books of the year. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know what? I'm actually going to pull up my phone, the list that I have on my phone, because there are some books that I love that I cannot find my physical copies of, or I don't have them yet. So first up, let's just do Highest Bidder by Sarah Kate. Again, I have a physical copy of this book. Where did it go? I don't know. But this is one of my favorite reads of the year. This book made me cry, actually, and this is my favorite Sarah Kate book by far. This is book, what is it, 4 or 5? No, I think it's book 5 in her Salacious Players Club. This book is about Ronan and Daisy. This is the heaviest age gap of the bunch, and it's so funny. I would like to apologize to this book because I did wrap-ups like on Instagram and TikTok of like my favorite spicy taboo books of the year, and I completely forgot to put this book in there, and I don't know why. Maybe because in my eyes, I look at this as just like one of my perfect romance books that I forget that it's like an actual taboo forbidden book. Like, and I'm just like, oh, it's one of my favorite books of the year. But this book is just amazing. He takes her to Paris and is just the man of my dreams. Like, honestly. I will never forget this book, and I already want to reread it. I reread it on my, I read it on my Kindle in 2023, and I feel like in 2024 I'm gonna have to get the audiobook and re-listen on audio because I loved it so much. I mean, my baby. Like, if you know, you know. I'm obsessed with Get in My Swamp by GM Fairy. This is a Shrek retelling. And it is part of a duet. First book is Get in My Swamp. Second book is Stay in My Swamp. I've talked about this book previously in other videos. I just love it. I am such a champion for this book. Again, I feel like if you follow me on social media, you know I love the author. She's so sweet too, and I'm obsessed. I'll read anything GM Fairy writes. I mean, I read her newest release, which is called like Spellbound Seduction. That was really cute. She has another book coming out that's inspired by the Bee movie, and yes, you heard that correctly. I just think if you want a fun, spicy monster romance, it's Capped or Captive for a little bit too, which is just right up my alley. I really think you should check this one out. I just think it's so fun. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, really switching gears. This is a phenomenal romance book. I read this, well, I listened to this audiobook actually, I feel like at the start of the year, and it is one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. This book is a kind of small town romance, opposites attract, where she's like the big city doctor, he's the small town guy. He helps her after her like tire goes flat, and it's just so good. This book is really emotional. I sobbed. But it's in the best way. Like, it's very cozy, but it does pack a punch emotionally, which I feel like is basically every Abby Jimenez book. I found this book to really, again, just be sensational. And if you haven't picked it up yet, let this be your sign to check it out. Pentacles and Triathlons by Ashley Bennett is just the coziest of the cozy monster romances. I read this one and Mantras and Minotaurs by her this year. Both of them are at a dead tie as my favorite. Really doesn't matter. They're both some of my favorite books of the year. If it's by Ashley Bennett, I'm going to love it. This book is actually, I guess it's an MM monster romance because Cyrus are Kraken, you know, it's MM. And this book was so charming. No, it's so cute. I cried. I'll never forget it. It was just the coziest little monster romance. He, like, Cyrus is obviously helping train our main guy, whose name I'm like blanking out on, for, you know, a like marathon, and he needs help with the swimming part, and it's just so good. Okay, now we can get into the next chunk of books, and all of these books I was able to find, you know, the physical copies of. Again, this whole section right here is going to be in no particular order, like I said. So let's just start with this one that I have. I mean, Hopeless by Elsie Silver. I realized I also did read Powerless as well, which again, loved just as much. Reckless, again, loved it as well. I will say my controversial opinion is that Reckless is my least favorite of the Chestnut Spring series, but that's not saying anything because the whole Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver is phenomenal, and Hopeless is the last installment. This is Bo and Bailey's book. It's an age gap. It's an engagement of convenience. It was perfect in my eyes. Then let's keep the small town vibes going. Sticking with the yeehaws. If you know, you know. I had to include them as a pair because it's part of the same series. That is Kit McBride Gets a Wife and Marrying Off Morgan McBride by Amy Berry. I love these books so much. These are like comfort books. I already want to reread Kit McBride Gets a Wife. I want to annotate this book. These are historical westerns, but as you can see, they're like meant to appeal to like a modern audience, but they are period pieces. I will say they're romances, obviously. Are they that spicy? No. This one is, I'm pretty positive. Yeah, it's closed door. This one actually, Amy Berry stepped it up a little bit. This one is very, like, has its, like, little sexy moments, and I love it. These books are just, they're honestly my taste. Like, I said that I really want a priority in 2024 to be reading more period pieces, more historicals, more westerns, because it really just speaks to me in my aesthetic. I've always loved things that are not of this time. I love period piece movies. I love anything vintage. It just really speaks to me. And this being a combo of like the Western vibes and just a super cute period piece is everything to me. This series is about the McBride brothers obviously trying to get wives. They're like this family that lives in the woods. They have a little young meddling sister, and I just think that they're sensational. Shout out to The Right Move by Liz Tomford, because fun fact, I forgot to include this also in like my wrap up of my top favorite books for TikTok, Instagram. I was really slacking. But I really love this book. This is another romance that I know you know about. Like, I just know that you do. It's Ryan Shea. This is a roommates, fake dating. He's a basketball player. Ryan Shea is just, like, one thing about Liz Tomford is she's going to write a man that is clearly written by a woman, because they are the standard. They are not real. Ryan Shea knows Indy's coffee order when he doesn't even drink coffee. Like, he just makes sure she has her coffee. Like, that is, it was a little bit too much. He also does a whole bunch of other things in this book that I'm not even going to spoil. But the first book in this series is Mile High. I love that book as well. But this book is just God tier. Again, I cried. It is like the true definition of like a romance book. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to read something that will make you swoon, you pick up this book. I swear, I don't think I've seen a single person not like this book. That's the power that Ryan Shea holds. So if you need, again, fake dating, sports romance, you just want to swoon your life away, you can do The Right Move. Okay, then let's talk about my two favorite celebrity memoirs of the year, which actually were the only two that I read, but it doesn't matter because I picked the two best ones of the year. I used to be a giant celebrity memoir person. Those are actually the books that got me into audiobooks years and years ago. Like, let me tell you, babes, I've had Audible before audiobooks and, you know, it was a thing. So I am a big celebrity memoir person, and let's talk about The Woman in Me by Britney Spears first. I did listen to this book on audio, narrated by Michelle Williams. Did a sensational job. I think this is the #1 book that you could give to someone, you could recommend to someone if they're like, I want to get into reading, but I don't know where to start. Give them this book. This book is so quick, it's so fast-paced, it's so juicy and just entertaining, but it also really packs a punch emotionally. I cried. I love Britney Spears so much. She is one of my favorite musical artists. She always has been. She always will be. I love pop music, and Britney Spears is the queen of pop. She is everything. She is the standard. We'll never get someone else like her. I wish her nothing but the best on her journey of healing. I hope this book really was healing for her. I think the base of this story, the majority of the story, was crafted by her, because the book just feels like her. Like the way it flows, the way it sounds very Brittany. And I just, like I said, wish her the best. This book is so good, and I do think you have to read it. Like, I think everyone needs to read this book. This is like now a top book that I think everyone just needs to read. And again, it's so quick. Just pick it up. And then my other girl, my girl, I literally love Julia Fox so much. And her book, Down the Drain, let me tell you, this did not disappoint. While Britney Spears' book is very emotional, like I said, I cried. This book, we're going to turn it up several notches. Like, you think you know about Julia Fox because maybe you've seen her around. She's a star. I love her. She's a model, actress, etc. You don't, because I thought I knew about her. This book was fucking crazy. She said it was a masterpiece, and she's actually not lying. This book is literally a masterpiece. Her life story is very insane. I do want to give her like a trigger warning for this book, like what she has gone through in her life. A lot of abuse, a lot of heavy drug use, addiction, all of that. This book is a lot. It's obviously a lot longer than Britney's, but I love the audiobook. She narrates it. And let me tell you, she just had much to say. And most of the book was talking about like her childhood into her teenage years, etc. And this story was just so captivating. Like, I feel like right from the start, you just get sucked in. And if this book hasn't been on your radar to read, I really think it should be, because it was just so good, like truly, and just absolutely unforgettable. And another book where, like, you know that she wrote this. I know that Julia Fox definitely sat down and again wrote the majority of this book, because it really sounds like her. Like, it really sounds like her voice, and I love that. And I think this book deserves even more hype. Okay, next stack of books. We have actually a book that I finished right before the end of the year, but it had to be here. It had no choice. And that was Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Another book that I feel like was very, very popular in 2023, very hyped up for good reason. I read from Hannah, I read Next of Kin, and then I read the Christmas novella that she has, the sapphic one. I can't remember the name of that right now. But this book, I was sobbing. Like, I was choking sobbing at the end of this book, not because it's sad, because I was that attached to them. This book is a surprise pregnancy book, and the thing is, Beau was just happy to be there. Beau is the book boyfriend. He was so sweet and so charming and so perfect. This book also is very special because it has disability rep with both characters. Our main girl has an underdeveloped hand, and then you can see that Beau has a prosthetic leg. And let me tell you, the cover of this book, I know it's getting recovered because it's going to be traditionally published, which I'm very happy for Hannah, because her writing is so sensational. She deserves it. But this cover is flawless. This is one of my favorite covers of the year. This is my favorite, or at least one of my favorite illustrated covers that I've ever seen, especially for a contemporary romance. It just tells you everything you need to know. It's stunning. This book is beautiful. This book is somewhat low angst, like, because Beau is very ready to be there for the baby through the pregnancy. So it's not like drama filled in that sense. It's just very sweet and charming, and I dare you not to get attached to these characters. It's just very emotional and heartfelt, and you're rooting for this couple the entire time, and I loved it. This book is so special. Definitely one of the best romance books that I've ever read. I mean, obviously, this was going to be here. Hello. Caution of the Wind by Gianna Darling. I literally have a Welcome to the Dark Side tattoo. Fallen Men is my favorite series of all time, and Gianna Darling finally came back at the end of this year. When we needed her the most, she came back, and she finally dropped Caution to the Wind, which is Axeman and May's story. This is best friend's dad, forbidden. Kind of enemies to lovers, second chance. They go through a period of time where, like, they're separated, then they come back, and it's just so tension-filled, so angsty. Very emotional as well. I literally cried during the spicy scene because it was so beautiful, but that's very much Gianna Darling. Like, if you're picking up a Gianna Darling book, you know the writing is going to be sensational. It was so nice to be back in the Fallen Men world, and there's a lot of Daddy Zeus in this book too. And I was just saying, like, if he's a single dad, like if he's a daddy in the Fallen Men world, I'm gonna be obsessed. Like, this book has definitely creeped its way into being one of my top favorite books in the series. I was saying, like, did I even like this more than Dead Men Walking? I am 100% when this audiobook comes out, should be coming out sometime in early 2024, I think. When this audiobook drops, I am going to do a reread of the Fallen Men series because I'm so curious to see where my ranking will go after this book in the mix. I mean, obviously my number one is going to stay Welcome to the Dark Side. Like, we just don't count that. It's really where the other books in the series are going to fall. But yeah, being back in this series was incredible, incredible, incredible. I love this book so much. I think about it constantly. 2023 was the year of QB Tyler for me, and I actually binged a whole bunch of her books. So I've read the majority of her books. I'm kind of bad with keeping up with her recent releases. I'm like 2 behind. I read Keep Her Safe, the Bodyguard one, and then I didn't get to her other 2 that she released. But we will catch up. But Unconditional is easily my favorite. This is a special edition cover of it. Because this book is her most taboo, forbidden one because it's Guardian Ward. It's a heavy age gap. The girl is like just turning 18 or something, and it's just so forbidden and so delicious. And Daddy Cal is just insane. Like, this book was, oh, I think about this book and I want to just start sweating. I loved it. I know the audiobook came out too, and I bet this book is so good on audio. I meant to ask QB for the audiobook, but I'll just buy it. It's fine. I love her so much. Like, she's also one of my favorite people. Shout out QB Tyler. She deserves everything. I'm so happy that she's now a full-time author. She's such a star. She's so sweet, and I'm literally obsessed with her, and I love this book. This book will not be for everyone. A couple other books, actually, that I'm going to talk about now down the road will not be for everyone, but this book is for me. Yeah, speaking of another book that I don't think will be for everyone, we have Devious Obsession by S. Massery. This Hockey God series by her, such a standout series for me. This is the first year that I read S. Massery, and I cannot wait to check out more of her books. And these are psycho hockey players. Psycho hockey players. And again, these are not beginner dark romances, in my opinion. Brutal Obsession was like dark and twisted, and I loved it. It's like a stalker hockey romance. I had such a great time with it. I'm pretty sure I gave that book like 4.5 stars. Devious Obsession, book 2. This book starts with a bang, and then it stays like that the entire time. This book was crazy. No, it was literally crazy, but in the best way. I'm so obsessed with it. Like, you read this book and it will not leave your mind, okay? It will simply not leave your mind. What is the main guy's name in this one? Steele. Yes, I was gonna say it's Steele. And it's just, I can't even talk about like what he does. Like, I can't even talk about it, but just know that this book is crazy. And once one of the men in this hockey world, once they claim you as theirs, girl, you're done. That's it. Another recent entry, because I did read this book in December as it was a December release, but this book is my new Roman Empire. I cannot stop thinking about Mafia Virgin by Mila Finelli. This is the newest book in her Kings of Italy series. I have read every single book in this series. I have loved every single book in this series. I'm pretty sure I gave all of them but 1 5 stars. I think I just gave Mafia Darling like 4.5 stars. The rest of the books are 5-star books. This series is a perfect Mafia series in my opinion. I feel like they were written for me. This book, maybe you can get a sense by the title, Mafia Virgin, has to do with an arranged marriage. Neither of them want this marriage. So Emma is the sister of the other 2 girls from the other books. Why am I blanking out on their names? I just, you know, I'm blanking out on everyone's names. Oh, it's Frankie. Frankie from Mafia Mistress and everything. And then Emma is the younger sister. I think Gia is the name of the 3rd sister, I think. But anyways, Emma wants to be a doctor. She's the youngest sister. She's taking care of her father who is sick, and that's all she wants. She's finishing school. She wants to be a doctor, right? But then the mafia has other plans for her, and to keep the peace, she is forced to marry Giacomo. And when I tell you, Mila Finelli was crazy for this book. I think I highlighted everything on my Kindle, like the Kindle highlights, everything that came out of Gio's mouth. Like everything. Everything. Because it was so hot. Like this book really did something for me. And I don't want to like call myself out on like what I like in my spicy books, you know, but like this book was it's perfect. Like this could potentially be maybe one of my favorite mafia books that I ever read. Like I feel like this and then like Savage Hearts from J.T. Geisinger and like Stolen Air from Sophie Lark are all in like a three-way tie for my favorite mafia books because I just can't stop thinking about this book. And that's how you know. It's truly my Roman Empire. If you haven't picked up this series by Mila Finelli yet and you love mafia books, please do. I just don't think you'll be disappointed. I really don't. Okay, now we have reached the last chunk of books that are all like, I guess like my top favorites of the year. I'm gonna show you like my top 3 books. But yeah, these are just, I guess, the most favorite of the most favorite books of the year. So first up we have Hate Me by Summer O'Toole, another mafia book. Enemies to Lovers. Summer is an extremely underrated author. I love her mafia books so much. This is a beautiful special edition copy. It's sensational. I love this book. I talk about this book all the time, but I don't think enough of you are reading it, if you are even reading it. It's so good. It's really so good. And I just loved it. First book in this series is called Make Me. I would suggest reading them in order. There's 4 books out in this series. But yeah, Enemies to Lovers, Mafia, Engagement of Convenience as well. Second Chance, because they're like childhood friends to lovers. It's a perfect mafia book as well. I'm obsessed. The Long Game by Elena Armas is a cozy small town romance. Elena is one of my favorite authors. She's one of my favorite people. I personally really love this book. Like I really did. When I was reading it, I couldn't stop smiling. I think about this book all the time because it's so cute and charming. I love the small town world that Elena crafted in this book. This is about a grumpy soccer player. They have to coach a girls' soccer team. All of the girls were so cute. This is my beautiful special edition copy, and this book is very special to me also because if you read this book, there's maybe a little side character named Kelly, and she may or may not be named after me, and I just love Elena so much. I'm so excited to see what she has in store for us with the shortlist in 2024. I can't even talk about this. I'm not even going to talk about this for too long because if you know, you know. American Queen, American Prince, and American King by Sierra Simone, New Camelot trilogy, one of my favorite series of all time. It's an MMF series, male, female, inspired by, you know, Camelot and a retelling of that, and it was just sensational. Like the King Arthur vibes, set in a modern setting. She marries the president, but then also the vice president is in there. And I just think it's sensational. Like, it's sensational. This series will not leave you once you read it. It is some of the best spicy, forbidden, taboo romance books ever to exist. The audiobooks are sensational. Sierra is one of my favorite authors. She's undefeated. I loved Salt Kiss as well by her this year, but I did read this series. You know, I binged them all, and this one I did like, you know, a smidge more, but Salt Kiss isn't a completed series yet, so we'll see which one I like more when the whole series is done. But honestly, I feel like this one, though, will never be topped because American Queen is like one of my favorite books ever. You know Done and Dusted by Lila Sage was going to be on here. I read this book twice, read it on my Kindle, listened to the audiobook when the audiobook came out. The most charming, perfect little cowboy romance book. It is so good. I mean, Luke Brooks, the standard. I love Emmy and Luke so much. I love this book. I love some of the topics that are discussed in this book. I think it's more than just a cute little cowboy romance, but I do think this book is very simple in its execution, where it's very easy to read. You'll finish it quickly. This is another great book that I think will get someone back into reading if they're kind of interested in that small town vibe. I love the romance. I love all of the characters in this book. I cannot wait for Swift and Saddled. I do have ARC copies of it that I have to read. That book is out in March. I love Lila so much. She's one of my favorite people, one of my favorite authors, and I know you know about this book. I know you know about it, and I know if you haven't picked it up yet, you're going to pick it up. Of course, we had to have a sapphic romance in here as well. Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake. I love this book so much. I could eat it up. I love this series. I binged this whole series this year. It's a trilogy. It starts with Delilah Green, then it's Astrid Parker, etc. This is the standout. This one is so good. Maybe because I love Iris Kelly. That's my girl. I understand her. I mean, she's also this like adorable little redhead. Like, look at them. Look at Iris and Stevie. Oh, my babies, my absolute babies. They're also putting on like a Shakespeare play together, which I love. And this book is so just like openly queer and it's so beautiful. And Stevie is just such a precious angel and it's fake dating. It's fake dating, which I love. Again, the audiobook, so, so good. I just, I would like re-listen to this book in a heartbeat. It just made me so happy. It's so cozy. Perfect book. Perfect book. Please check it out if you haven't yet. People, this is the last stack. This is my tippy top favorite books of the year. This is, I guess, my top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top six books of the year, and it feels right for me to have these books, you know, this high up on the list because again, these are truly my Roman Empire books, okay? I am obsessed. So let's just start with a book that I am the biggest champion for, and you can't tell me that I'm not, and that is Saddle Up Cowboy by Sade Renee. This is a perfect cowboy romance. This is one of the best cowboy romance books that I ever read. Clearly, it's the best cowboy romance book that I read in 2023. I'm a very big cowboy romance person. Cowboy romance is my comfort genre. I also take great pride in reading ones that are maybe under the radar and recommending those because there's only so many times that people can be like, I love cowboy romance, and the only ones they're reading are Elsie Silver and Lila Sage. Like, please broaden your horizons. Also, not every Elsie Silver book is a cowboy book. She only has like 3 cowboy books in her whole backlist. So I just feel very strongly about the subject. I could keep going, but Sade Renee has a cowboy romance series. This is the first book in it that is called Saddle Up Cowboy, and it is phenomenal. This is the book where it's an age gap where she is the older one, he's the younger one. He is also a virgin. They meet one night in a bar, and then she doesn't think that they'll be reunited because it doesn't go that well, and then they are, and he is just the perfect cowboy gentleman. This book is Parker and Renee, and they are just my babies, my actual babies. Parker is, when I tell you the standard, this man does everything for her. Like, their first date scene is one of my favorite first date scenes that I ever read. This book is so charming, so cute. It is spicy. Let me tell you, Sade Renee's spice does not play. This book is so incredibly well written. It's a quick read as well. I think if you are a small town person and you claim to be a lover of cowboys and you're not picking up this book, I'll be watching you. I'm gonna fucking watch you because it's so good and it needs more hype. Like, it really just does. And I hope 2024 is Sade's year. I'm pretty sure I'm going to meet her at Book Bonanza, and I love her so much. And I'm definitely going to read the other books in this series. I think there's maybe 3 more that I have to get to. No, 2 more? 2 more. But I've been saving them for when I want to make them my entire personality because I made this book my entire personality in 2024. Completely switching gears to the darkest book that I'm going to put on this list, and a book that I actually don't even really recommend because it's so dark and gnarly and just gross and disturbing that I don't think it's going to be for anyone. Like, really, it's for the darkest of dark taboo romance people. But it really was for me, and I have such a soft spot for this book, and I'm literally obsessed with it, and that is The Skeleton King by Charity B. This is a dark, like I said, dark version of The Nightmare Before Christmas. I think the way that Charity decided to retell that story, I'm a sucker for retelling. The Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my all-time favorite movies. So the combo of all of those things, I just think Charity knocked it out of the park. I think this book is flawless. She said, I'm gonna write a Nightmare Before Christmas retelling, but it's gonna be so dark and so crazy. And honestly, I like that she didn't hold back with it. If you want to read this book, I would heavily suggest doing your research about it. Even the opening chapter is not going to be for everyone. I had people messaging me that this book gave them PTSD, that they were extremely disturbed by it, that they couldn't get into it, and that is all completely fair and valid. I just had the complete opposite experience where I was obsessed with this book. I could not put it down. I literally love it. I'm obsessed. So that's just me. Do I think this book is going to be for most people? Absolutely not, but it would feel wrong if I didn't put it as a top read of the year for me. Another series that we're going to link all together now, the Off Balance series by Lucia Franco. I couldn't tell you my favorite book in this series because when I binged all of the audiobooks back to back, it all felt like one giant book to me. Like, I can't even tell you which events happen in which book. Like, it's a blur. So that's why the whole Off Balance series by Lucia Franco, I read this book while I listened to the series pretty early on in the year. Haven't forgotten it. Will never forget them. This is a taboo, forbidden age gap romance. Another series that will not be for everyone. It's Coach Athlete, but it sure as hell was for me. And oh, never forget. I mean, once you read about Coach Kova, how can you go back? Like how does one forget about Coach Kova? You don't. This book had me crying. I cried over the spicy scenes in here too. I had a whole mental breakdown in the last book. I was so attached to them. One thing about Miss Lucia Franco, she can write her fucking ass off. She is so talented. She is so talented. I read Hush Hush by her as well this year. Another author I discovered in 2023 that is just everything to me. I will read anything that she writes. I am obsessed, obsessed, obsessed with her. This series is just grips you by the throat and it doesn't let you go. It still hasn't let me go. And I read these books months and months and months ago. Top of the year for sure. No question. Top 3. Oh my God, that's crazy. That is so crazy. We are in the top 3 books of the year for me. And that, number three, Final Offer by Lauren Asher. I knew when I read this book at the beginning of the year, due to the way that it affected me emotionally and how beautiful I found it, I knew it was going to be the toppest of top books of the year for me. Still stayed as one of my favorites. This book is very special to me for a whole bunch of reasons. It's very personal why this book is special to me. So this is book 3 in her Dreamland Billionaire series. I think even though this book is long, that's how you know I love this book, because it's disgustingly long. I had multiple crying sessions throughout it. I just thought this story was so beautiful. I love the way that she wrote Cal's story. Cal is, you know, a brother in the Dreamland Billionaire series. The whole Dreamland Billionaire series I love so, so much. This book, just the small town vibes I loved as well. Again, it's emotional. Which I think some people were taken aback by when they read it, because they were like, the other 2 books in the series are more like fun and spicy. Like they have emotions as well, but not nearly to the point of this one. But I think Lauren just crafted this story with so much care, and I love and respect her dearly for this book. And I just love her as a person. She's one of my favorite people, and I just want to give this book a hug. It just is sensational, and I'll never forget it, truly. Another book I'll never forget is the best dark romance book that I read this year. One of the best books that I read this year, obviously. Another book that is My True Roman Empire, and a lot of people have this as their top favorite book of the year, because the girls that get it, and the girls that don't. That is Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver, and this book is insane. This is about 2 serial killers who date, but then they have like a game with each other that they play yearly. Their meet cute is really funny. And this book is just so funny and over the top, but it also has so much emotion in it. Like, I love this couple so much. I also cried during this book. I'm so happy even more people are picking this up. It was picked up by a publisher. I have the indie version. There's a sequel coming out that follows other characters in 2024. It actually comes out by my birthday. And it's like a marriage of convenience. And please hold me back. I am so feral for that book. It's called Leather and Lark. I am foaming at the mouth. This book had me foaming at the mouth. I am obsessed. I read this book on Kindle. I know everyone loves the audiobook. I haven't decided to buy the audiobook yet, but don't be surprised if I re-listen to that book by the time, you know, Leather and Lark is supposed to come out. I just think this book is so worth all of the hype. Brynne is such a talented author, and I cannot wait to read the other books in her backlist in 2024 as well, because I really, really want to. Like, they're very high priority for me. And finally, my #1 book of the year actually was not a competition. It was no question what my top book of the year was, and that was Hideway Hard by Melanie Harlow. This is a perfect small town romance book, in my opinion. This book is just so cozy. I read it twice. I did the Kindle version. I listened to the audiobook. And this book is also incredibly special to me because the main character in this book, his full name is Kelly Jo Sullivan, and she's a tiny redhead, and she may or may not be inspired by me. When Melanie actually named a character after me, I was shook to my core. It was incredible. The covers may be also pink because that's my favorite color. And when I read this book for the first time, getting the arc, knowing what I knew about it, like, first up, I loved that it was a bodyguard trope, because I love bodyguard trope. It's forced proximity. They're in a cabin together. She's a country singer. I love country music. And then reading this book and having it be literally my favorite Melanie Harlow book. Like, truly, if I was not attached to this book, this would still be my favorite Melanie Harlow book because I loved everything about this. I was just so like blown away and emotional over the fact that a book that I love so much, I'm attached to. And a book that I think about constantly 24/7. This is probably my #1 comfort book. I mean, how could it not be? And also in this book, Kelly Jo Sullivan talks about all the time about her name and how she just wants to be known as Kelly Jo, instead of Pixie Hart, her stage name. And again, that being a big theme of the book, wanting to embrace her true self and taking her name back and just it being my name was really crazy. Like, it was a very interesting experience reading this book. There's also some things that Melanie put in this book that are also parallel to my life that she did not know about. And I was like texting her about it and she was like, oh my God, that's so funny. And Melanie is just the best. I need you to pick up a Melanie Harlow book in 2024 if you haven't. Her small town romances are just so cozy and charming. I do have more of her backlist that I have to work through, and she's just my go-to author when I need a sweet and spicy small town romance book. This is easily my favorite book of the year. I can't recommend it enough. It is part of a series. First book is Runaway Love. It can be read as a standalone, but I think it's more fun to read them in order. And then the newest book in the series is called Make Believe Match. And it was really special reading that book because you would never guess who made an appearance. Kelly and Xander were in Make Believe Match. And it was just, oh, it's just so cool and special. And I love Melanie so much. Like I said, please read a Melanie Harlow book. Please just do it. All right, everybody, that was it. That was my nice long list of my favorite books of 2023. I hope you got some inspo. What books did you love in 2023? I would love to know. Did you also love any of these books? I would love to know. As always, all of my social medias are linked down below. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Goodreads. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like this video. I'm so excited for all of the content that I have planned in 2024. 2023 was really the year for me to get back into YouTube, and I love it so much. Thank you for supporting me over here. It really means so much. Again, comment, like this video, share it, do the works. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!